So, good afternoon and welcome back to Excelsior Academy. So, in the previous lectures, we talked about different chromatography techniques and separating techniques like electrophoresis in order to study the pure proteins. So, sometimes what happens is you're not able to purify your protein, but still you want to know whether your protein of interest is present or not. So, how to quantify that? Are you getting the point? Like you have not purified your protein, but still you want to know how much of your protein of interest is present in the mixture, in the extract. Okay, so after the cell lysis from the bacteria, plant and animal cells, the extract what you get, the crude extract what you get, in that how much of your protein of interest is present, how to quantify that. Okay, so we'll study today that. Now, so the proteins that are enzymes, the amount in a given solution or tissue extract can be measured or assayed in terms of the catalytic effect of the enzyme produces. So this is how you are going to actually quantify your protein. So it has to have the enzymatic activity, a certain activity which will show change in the color or increase in the substrate concentration, decrease in the substrate concentration or increase in the product formation. So something in order to measure. Now, if you talk about the structural proteins, so what do you mean by structural proteins? Structural proteins, it means it is going to help in the architecture of your protein. So it doesn't have any enzymatic activity. So such proteins are difficult to study if it is not purified. Okay, in the difficult to study if it is impure. So for such structural proteins, you need always a pure protein. Now, if suppose you have the enzymes, like let us say that we have got the enzymes amylase is there. Okay, so I got the bacterial crude extract I got. Now, what is the activity for amylase? Anyone? How can I quantify amylase activity? Anyone? So amylase means if wherever starch is present, okay, so if I add iodine, what will happen? The color change will be there. Some blue, black color will come. So I can do the amylase test over here using the iodine solution. Okay. So yes, so certain enzymes, if you're interested in studying the enzyme activity, then it is possible to be measured from the crude extract. Okay, so the increase in the rate at which its substrate is converted to reaction products when the enzyme is present. So in this way, we can measure or quantify our proteins. Now, how to do that? Now, for this purpose, one must know the overall equation of the reaction catalyzed, of course. So you need to know what kind of protein it is, what kind of enzyme it is, so what substrate will be there, right? And how it will be carried out. Like for this, you need to know the optimum pH, you need to know the optimum temperature, the buffer, etc. Now, the analytical procedure for determining the disappearance of the substrate or appearance of the reaction product. So this also, so sometimes it can be in the form of the color change. There is one example I can give you of succinate dehydrogenase. Any idea where we have studied succinate dehydrogenase? It is where? Where?
Glycolysis.
No. No. Okay, I'll give you the hint. Mitochondria.
Electron transport system.
Yes, very good. It is also called the complex 2. So we know that the electron transport chain is made up of 4 to 5 subunits are there, complexes are there. So complex 2 is actually your succinate dehydrogenase. Okay. Now in the case of succinate dehydrogenase, again it actually reduces your electron equivalent. So whenever you add, there is one DCPIP reagent is there. Okay. So when you add this reagent, what happens is it's already a blue color. Now, when you add this reagent and the enzyme is added, it starts losing its color. So disappearing of the blue color. It's also a kind of reaction taking place, right? So even that also you can determine. Now, Whether the enzyme requires cofactors such as metal ions or coenzymes, then dependence on the enzyme activity and substrate concentration, optimum pH and temperature. So all these information once you have, okay, you can carry out your measuring or quantifying the enzymes which is present in the crude extract. Now, can you tell me whether it is really important to know to quantify your proteins from the mixture? Is it important to carry out such experiments? Because usually we carry out all our characterizing experiments with the pure protein. So do you think it is important to quantify the proteins from the crude extract? Anyone? Any guesses? Yes. Okay, it is important, but like how? Why it is important? Then why do you think, Sandhya, it is important? Yes, Ranjan. Why do you think that it is important to study? So it's very simple. Whenever you carry out any experiment, any research, we need to know that whether we are going in the correct direction or not, right? If I have the crude extract, suppose while working today in the lab, it became late. I left the crude extract in the freezer and I went home, and next day I came back and then I started doing the experiment. So I need to do this experiment to know whether my interested protein is present or not. Because if I start doing the purification techniques and at the end I don't see any activity, so it's completely waste of 1 month, because purification will take time and minimum time taken for purification is 1 month. So if I don't do all these activities, it's a waste, because already initially in the crude extract when your protein was not present, there was no use to carry out the purification techniques further, right? So every time whenever we carry out all these procedures, all these techniques, each step we check for the activity, because see, the activity or the amount will be getting reduced, because each chromatography technique there will be some loss of protein. Some loss of protein means some loss of activity will be there. But if suppose there is no activity, so does it make any sense to go further? No. So you will stop there and again you will go back and start from the beginning. So that's why every step needs to be analyzed to check for the activity of the enzyme. Okay. So it is important. Now, a temperature zone in which enzyme is stable and has a high activity. So these are again the optimum temperature. So optimum is 25 to 38 degrees Celsius. So there are many proteins which are like stable at 95 degrees Celsius also. So there are certain procedures when what we usually do is like, for example, in my case, one of my protein. Okay, so I named that protein as DIL9. Datura inoxia lectin 9. So I gave the nomenclature as DIL9, and this protein was stable till 95 degrees Celsius. So during purifications, what I used to do, I used to heat the sample around 40 to 45 degrees Celsius. So what will happen? Rest of the impure proteins will get denatured and precipitated out, and only my protein will remain. So this is how I made my purification easy. Okay. Now, enzymes are usually acid at their optimum pH and optimum temperature. So this everything you know. Also, very high substrate concentrations are generally used so that the initial rate measured experimentally is proportional to the enzyme concentration. So this is also correct, right? So if suppose this is the enzyme in your crude extract, you increase the substrate concentration slowly, and it will, if suppose the reaction rate is also increasing, so you understand that the enzyme activity is also present more. Okay, so this is how you will quantify your enzymes or the proteins which are present in the crude extract. Now, by international agreement, now this is important to understand. By international agreement, 1 unit of enzyme activity is defined as the amount of enzyme causing transformation of 1 mole of substrate per minute at 25 degrees Celsius under optimum conditions of measurement. So in most of the cases, you see that in the vials or the enzyme, when you buy from the company, they write as one enzyme unit. They don't write as gram or milligram. Okay, so they will write as one enzyme unit equivalent to this much, this much. Okay. So what is the meaning of one enzyme unit? It is the amount of the enzyme required for the conversion of 1 mole of substrate per minute at 25 degrees Celsius into the product. Okay. So the term activity refers to the total units of enzyme in a solution. So here we are not saying that whether the protein is going to be pure or impure. We just talk about the total units of enzyme. So one particular enzyme, how much units are present in the sample. Now, specific activity is important. So it is the number of enzyme per milligram of total protein. Are you getting? The activity means it is the total enzyme of the sample. Okay. So it is the total enzyme of the total protein present. Now, the specific activity is the number of enzyme per milligram of the total protein. Okay. So this will be clear once you see the table. Okay. So the specific activity is a measure of enzyme purity. It increases during purification of an enzyme and becomes maximum and constant when the enzyme is pure. Now, how do you make this table? So first one, you have got the crude extract, correct? So in the crude extract, is there. So how do you prepare the crude extract? By lysing the bacterial, animal or plant cells. So remember, so you lyse those cells and then centrifuge it. So whatever you get on the supernatant is your crude cellular extract. So what is the total volume? Let us say it is 1400. So it varies from experiment to experiment. So always when you try to do your research, try to use the same volume. Because every time if you change the volume, then every time the total protein and the activity you get going to be differ. And then this table you have to make it again and again. Okay. So the crude cellular extract, let us say it is 1400 ml. So you calculate the total protein. Now, how do you calculate the total protein? Remember, I have mentioned you about the Follen-Lowry and the Bradford method is there, right? Using UV visible spectroscopy. So you will calculate the total protein present. So you are getting around 10,000 mg present in 1400 ml of the sample. Now you calculate the activity. So activity means maybe if it is some enzyme like amylase or protease, you will get certain activity. So let us say it is 1 lakh units. Now what is the specific activity? So how do you calculate? Specific activity is nothing but the activity of the enzyme per milligram of the protein, right? So 1 lakh divided by 10,000. So how much you are getting? 10. Is this clear? Is this part clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now you know that you're going to do the precipitation with the ammonium sulfate. So once you do the ammonium sulfate precipitation, the volume reduces, correct? So 280 ml you got. Again, use your Follen-Lowry method. You are getting 3000 milligrams. So you can see that as a total volume is reducing, your total protein is also reducing. Okay. Now what is the activity you are getting? Around 96. But what is the specific activity? 32. So 32, it means what? It is increasing. Now, when you say that even though total protein, that is, as the purification steps increases, what is happening? Your interested protein is getting pure and increase in concentration, whereas rest of the proteins are decreasing, right? And that's why the total protein seems to be decreasing because the uninterested protein is getting reduced, right? So the total activities also seems to be reducing. But when you talk about the specific activity, it seems to be increasing. Now, specific activity is for your own protein. Let it be amylase or protease. So again, 400, you got the total protein. Activity is 80,000. So 80,000 by 400 will give you the 200 specific activity units of the enzyme. So likewise you do, and finally you do the affinity chromatography. So how much you're getting? Around 15,000 specific activity in 6 ml, right? Now this is a huge volume. If you get such amount of a rare protein purified, you can sell it in the market for very good amount. Okay, getting the point, because we sell it in 1 ml. So 1 ml means, so this is 15,000 units and this is 6 ml. So you can just imagine how much uh, protein activity you have got. It's a very good high amount of activity. Okay. So in the same way, what you have done over here, same thing has been done in the industries, but in the large scale. Okay. So do you know the company called Biocon? Biocon, anyone knows? It's a company in Bangalore. Okay. So they also carry out this large scale purification of the protein. Now, whenever you say purification of protein in industry, it is called downstream processing. It is called downstream processing. So what will be the upstream? Culturing of bacteria or growing animal cells or growing plant tissues. Okay, so that will be your upstream. So downstream means once the crude cellular extract has been made, all these steps comes under the downstream processing till the protein is being pure. Now in companies, if suppose this is your any drug or something, so this will be converted into your tablets. Then after downstream processing, you have got the packaging and marketing. Okay, so that's why once you're thorough with your research, it is easy to go and join in companies. Okay, so apart from that, back to the topic. So this table is clear to everyone. Any doubts? So how these values are coming, is it clear? It is nothing but the activity divided by the total protein. Okay, is it clear? Okay. So this is a small topic only. So after each purification step, the activity of the preparation is assayed. The total amount of protein is determined independently and the ratio of the two gives you the specific activity. Okay. Now activity in total protein generally decreases with each step, as I already showed you in the table. Activity decreases because some loss always occurs due to inactivation or non-ideal interactions with the chromatographic materials. Total protein decreases because the objective is to remove as much as the unwanted or the non-specific protein as possible. So yes. Now for the proteins that are not enzymes, other quantification methods are required. For example, if it is not an enzyme, then at least it should be having the receptor ligand binding affinity at least. Okay, so the transport proteins can be assayed by their binding to the molecule they transport, or hormones too, they bind to their hormonal receptor. Correct. So some kind of interaction is needed between two, the substrate and the enzyme or the receptor, so that you can actually carry out the measurement or the quantification. Okay. So also any biological effect they produce. For example, growth hormones will stimulate the growth of certain culture cells. So this is how you can actually carry out the quantification. Only problem comes with the structural proteins, because they don't bind to any other proteins and they do not show any enzymatic activity. For example, like actin is there, your muscular proteins are there. So all those are structural proteins which are difficult to quantify. So and that time you need to just purify your protein. Okay. So any doubts over here? So this was a small topic. So thank you for listening. If any doubts are there, those are welcome.